What if the reason some women seem to can't stop thinking about a man has almost nothing to do with his looks, his money, or his clever lines, and everything to do with the emotional pattern he triggers inside their nervous system? Because the truth is this: what people call obsession is usually not romance. It is a loop made of anticipation, emotional peaks, uncertainty, and meaning. And if you understand the psychology of that loop, you stop chasing attention like a starving man. You stop trying to win women with constant effort. You stop performing. You start becoming the kind of man whose presence feels like a drug, not because you manipulate, but because you have the discipline, the depth, and the emotional leadership that most men simply do not have. Now listen carefully, because this is where people get it wrong. This is not an invitation to harm anyone emotionally. This is not about provoking anxiety, confusion, or dependence. That is weak. That is coward energy disguised as strategy. The goal is to create genuine attraction ethically, to be captivating because you are grounded, purposeful, and emotionally intelligent. If a woman becomes intensely drawn to you, it should be because she feels safe and alive around you, not because she feels trapped or destabilized. If you miss this point, you will either become toxic or you will sabotage your own results with guilt and confusion. So let's define the male drug effect in a clean way. A man feels addictive when a woman's mind keeps returning to him even when he is not there. She replays moments. She remembers his tone. She feels a pull to reach out. Not because he begged for it. Not because he flooded her with attention, but because her brain tagged him as emotionally significant. And the brain tags significance through a few predictable mechanisms that show up again and again in research on learning, motivation, memory, and attachment. The first mechanism is emotional contrast. Most men are flat. They are predictable in the worst way. They try to be consistently agreeable, consistently available, consistently validating, and they think that consistency creates safety and therefore desire. But safety without activation is comfort, not craving. Comfort makes you likable. It does not make you unforgettable. What makes you unforgettable is contrast, warmth paired with calm, playfulness paired with depth, presence paired with purpose. Not mood swings, not drama. Contrast. The human mind remembers contrast because contrast signals importance. Emotional intensity and novelty make experiences stick. When an interaction has shape, when it has a peak and a clean ending, it leaves an imprint. When it drifts and dissolves into endless normal conversation, it vanishes. Most men talk until the magic dies. The man who feels like a drug knows how to keep the magic alive by controlling the rhythm, the energy, and the ending. And this brings us to the second mechanism. Anticipation is stronger than consumption. This is the brutal paradox that destroys so many men. The moment you become anxious for certainty, you kill anticipation. You want to lock it down. You want the validation now. You want the reassurance now. You want the outcome now. But craving is built in the space between. Craving is not created by non-stop reward. Craving is created by tension and possibility. The mind lights up when it expects reward and cannot fully predict it, especially when the reward has been emotionally meaningful before. So if you want the male drug effect, you need to stop behaving like a man trying to secure an outcome and start behaving like a man living a life with momentum. Not pretending, actually living. A man with momentum does not need to cling to the interaction because he has something real to return to. That alone changes your energy. That alone makes your presence feel like a choice, not a request. And women can feel the difference between a man who is busy as a tactic and a man who is busy because he has direction. Now here is what most people do not want to hear. Attention is not the drug. Meaning is the drug. A woman does not attach deeply because you are constantly around. She attaches when she starts assigning meaning to you. When you become a symbol in her mind, a symbol of intensity, of elevation, of emotional truth, of a version of herself she rarely gets to feel. People crave what expands them. They crave what makes them feel more alive. They crave what pulls them out of their repetitive emotional world. This is why shallow tips never work long term. You can copy a line, but you cannot copy meaning. Meaning comes from who you are and how you move. It comes from your standards, your purpose, and your emotional self-control. And the man who feels like a drug is always communicating these things without begging for recognition. Let's talk about standards, because standards are one of the most overlooked drivers of obsession. Standards create boundaries. Boundaries create rarity. Rarity creates value. If you accept everything, you signal you can be replaced. If you have a spine, you signal you are not desperate. And that is where obsession starts. The mind leans toward what it cannot casually own. Not because it is hard to get in a childish sense, but because it is not free. Understand this clearly. You do not become addictive by giving more. You become addictive by giving selectively. You reward what you respect. You do not reward disrespect. You do not reward flakiness. You do not reward manipulation. You do not reward lukewarm effort. And you do this without anger, without lectures, without emotional explosions. You do it with calm calibration. That calmness is critical because a man who argues for his boundaries looks insecure. A man who simply enforces them looks powerful. Selective investment is where many men either become manipulative or become doormats. The doormat gives everything immediately. The manipulator withholds to control. The strong man invests gradually in response to what is real. He gives access to his time, attention, and emotional presence in proportion to the woman's enthusiasm, respect, and consistency. That is not a game. That is self-respect. And when you invest gradually, you create an effect that psychology has recognized for a long time. People value what they work for. When a woman earns deeper access through real connection and mutual respect, her investment becomes personal. The more personal the investment, the more the mind justifies it. This is why obsession often grows when she starts doing something that costs her effort, making time, reaching out, showing vulnerability, moving toward you. Then the brain says, if I'm investing, this must matter. That is how attachment strengthens. Now let's go deeper into the loop itself. What makes the mind keep replaying? Unresolved emotional threads. The mind hates unfinished stories. It keeps them active. It returns to them. It tries to complete them. You can create this ethically by ending interactions on a high point and leaving a little curiosity open. Not by lying. Not by promising something you will not deliver, but by not dumping everything at once. By pacing. Most men overshare because they think intimacy is created by revealing everything. But intimacy is not created by dumping. Intimacy is created by precision. You reveal in a way that invites connection, not pity. You share in a way that shows character, not desperation. You give her a taste of your depth, then you let her wonder what else is there. This is what mystery really is. Mystery is not silence. Mystery is depth. It is the sense that you are not a one-note person, that you have layers, values, discipline, and a life that does not revolve around anyone's approval. That is why you cannot fake the drug effect forever. If you do not have depth, you will run out of gravity, and gravity is what keeps a woman's mind orbiting you. Now, one of the most powerful drivers of obsession is a combination most men cannot hold: emotional safety and emotional activation at the same time. The overly nice guy creates safety without activation. He becomes comfortable, predictable, and forgettable. The reckless guy creates activation without safety. He becomes exciting, chaotic, and eventually exhausting. The addictive man creates both. That is why he feels rare. That is why he feels like a drug. He can be warm without being needy. He can be intense without being unstable. He can be confident without being cruel. He can be calm without being boring. So how do you create emotional safety? You keep your word. You communicate clearly. You respect boundaries. You do not pressure. You do not rush intimacy. You are consistent in character, not constant in attention. Consistent in character. That means your values do not change based on her mood. Your self-respect does not collapse because of a delayed reply. Your emotional state is not held hostage by her fluctuations. You remain steady. And how do you create emotional activation? You lead. You challenge. You hold eye contact. You use silence. You create tension and release like music. You are playful, then you are grounded. You tease, then you reward. You bring a woman into an emotional experience rather than an interview. This is important. Most men talk at women. The addictive man creates an experience with a woman. That experience is what her body remembers. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest mistakes men make when they hear this topic. They think the answer is to be hot and cold. They think the answer is to disappear, create jealousy, punish, manipulate. That is a misunderstanding of the mechanism. The mechanism is not cruelty. It is not confusion. It is not disrespect. The mechanism is tension paired with trust. Tension without trust becomes anxiety. Trust without tension becomes friendship. The male drug effect is tension inside trust. She feels safe in your character, but she does not feel she owns you. She feels your warmth, but she also feels your boundaries. She feels your desire, but she also feels your standards. That polarity creates craving. So let's translate that into behavior, because theory is useless if you cannot embody it. First, you must master rhythm. Rhythm is the hidden skill that separates men who are tolerated from men who are craved. Rhythm means you do not rush. You do not fill every silence. You do not over-explain. You do not talk to prove. You talk with purpose, then you pause. You let your words land. You let her feel the moment. When you speak slower than your insecurity wants you to speak, your presence increases. When you pause after you say something meaningful, your impact increases. When you end an interaction while the energy is still high, her replay increases. And the replay is where the loop begins. Here is the subtle truth. Obsession often grows in the gap between contact, not because you vanish like a ghost, not because you punish, but because you leave cleanly, you leave with dignity, you leave while the moment still has electricity. That electricity then has nowhere to go except into her mind. So she replays. She wonders. She feels the pull. This is why dragging things out is a mistake. The longer you stay beyond the peak, the more you flatten the memory. You turn a highlight into background noise. The addictive man protects the highlight. Now, another major ingredient is challenge, not arrogance, not insults. Challenge. Challenge is what flips the dynamic from, "I hope she likes me," to, "We are both evaluating each other." Most men audition. They seek approval. They act like her attention is a prize and their role is to earn it. That frame is poison. A woman can sense it. And when she senses it, she either feels pressured or she feels superior. Neither creates deep craving. The addictive man is warm but not impressed too easily. He is respectful but not worshipful. He can disagree without hostility. He can tease without cruelty. He can call out something lightly and move on. That signals a powerful reality. I see you, I like you, but I do not need you. That single message, when it is embodied rather than spoken, creates enormous tension because the mind craves what it cannot easily control. And women, like men, are attracted to power. Not power over others, power over self, self-control, self-respect, emotional steadiness, a life that has direction. Now, let's talk about emotional contagion, because this is where many men misunderstand seduction. Attraction is not only about what you say, it is about what you transmit. People unconsciously synchronize to the emotional state around them. If you are anxious, you transmit anxiety. If you are calm, you transmit calm. If you are playful, you transmit playfulness. If you are grounded and slightly dangerous in energy, not in behavior, you transmit intensity. So the question becomes, what emotional state are you bringing to women? Are you bringing need? Are you bringing scarcity? Are you bringing pressure? Or are you bringing calm certainty and controlled fire? Controlled fire means you are not timid about desire. You are not apologizing for masculinity. You are not hiding behind friendliness because you are afraid of rejection. You can express interest without pleading. You can flirt without being crude. You can be direct without being aggressive. That balance is magnetic because it is rare. Now, remember what I said earlier. The real drug is not that she wants you. The real drug is that she wants to feel what she feels around you. This is the deepest layer of obsession. A woman becomes hooked on the version of herself she experiences in your presence. If around you she feels seen, desired, respected, playful, feminine, and alive, her brain will associate you with that elevated state. Then, when she is away from you, her baseline feels dull, and her mind will pull her back toward the source of elevation. That is classical learning. It is association. If your presence consistently creates a higher emotional state, your absence creates a craving for that state. This is why you cannot build obsession on words alone. Words are cheap. States are real. So how do you create that elevated state without becoming a clown? You stop trying to entertain and start leading energy. You lead the emotional experience by being present, by having standards, by using rhythm, by being honest with charm, and by rewarding what you respect. Let's talk about compliments, because compliments are a trap. Most men compliment in a way that reduces their value. They overdo it. They hand out constant validation. They praise a woman's surface endlessly. And what happens? The woman feels nothing, because generic praise is cheap. She has heard it 1,000 times. It does not make her feel seen. It makes her feel observed. The addictive man uses precision. He notices something specific and meaningful. He observes a behavior, a value, a way she thinks, a subtle energy, and he delivers it calmly without begging for a reaction. That hits differently because it signals attention and intelligence. It creates uniqueness, and uniqueness creates attachment. But here is the key. You do not do this constantly. You do it sparingly. Over-validation destroys flavor. It is like pouring sugar on everything until nothing tastes special. The best reward is the one that lands because it is rare and honest. Now, you need to understand another paradox. Women crave mystery, but they do not crave unreliability. They crave a man who is readable in character, but not predictable in impact. Readable in character means she trusts your values. Predictable in impact means she knows exactly how every interaction will feel and how every conversation will go. That predictability kills fascination. So you must have variety inside stability, different shades inside the same solid frame. That means you must have range. Range does not mean chaos. Range means you are not one-dimensional. You can be playful and then go quiet and serious. You can talk about ambition and then shift into something personal. You can flirt and then hold a calm gaze. You can be warm and then return to your mission. The woman feels you have layers. Layers keep the mind engaged. Now let's get very real about texting and availability, because this is where men destroy everything. Many men turn communication into obligation. They text all day, every day, not because they have something to say, but because they are afraid of losing attention. That fear leaks. It makes the woman feel hunted or burdened. Even if she likes you, the constant presence dulls the craving. Constant reward becomes background noise. The addictive man communicates with intention. He creates emotional spikes, not anxious drip feeding. A spike is a message that creates a reaction and then ends cleanly, not disappearing to punish, but returning to life. The message carries a tone of leadership and playfulness. Then the man goes back to his purpose. He does not sit there staring at the screen waiting for meaning. He already has meaning. And if she responds, he responds like a man, not like a starving teenager. Sometimes he replies quickly because he is available and he wants to. Sometimes he replies later because he is busy, not as a technique, as reality. Real men have real lives. Reality is the most persuasive strategy because it cannot be faked consistently. Now let's address something uncomfortable. If you are emotionally reactive, you will never feel like a drug. If your mood changes based on her tone, you will never feel rare. If you panic at uncertainty, you will never create anticipation. Emotional regulation is not optional. It is the foundation. A man who feels like a drug is steady. He does not collapse into insecurity. He does not seek reassurance. He does not over-explain. He does not argue for attention. He does not try to negotiate attraction. He moves forward with self-respect. And that self-respect makes women curious because it is scarce. So how do you build that steadiness? You stop outsourcing your worth to women. You build your worth in private through discipline. You keep promises to yourself. You develop competence. You train your body. You sharpen your communication. You build your social life. You work on your craft. You create momentum. Then, when you speak to a woman, you are not trying to extract value. You are sharing value. That energy feels completely different, and women feel it immediately. Now let me make this simple. Neediness is anti-drug. Neediness is when you try to take emotional certainty from her. Neediness is when you chase her response to feel okay. Neediness is when you treat every interaction like it must lead to an outcome, or it is worthless. That pressure kills desire because desire needs freedom to breathe. The addictive man gives freedom, but he is not passive. He leads while giving freedom. He invites without pushing. He chooses without clinging. That creates autonomy, and autonomy is one of the strongest psychological drivers of genuine attraction. People want what they feel they choose. If she feels she is choosing you, her investment becomes part of her identity. That is when the pull becomes strong. Now, a warning that separates men who become respected from men who become toxic. Do not exploit insecure attachment. Some people respond intensely to anxiety and inconsistency because it mirrors their past patterns. That is not a victory. That is damage. If you notice a woman becoming unstable, overly anxious, or emotionally dependent, you slow down, you clarify, you do not intensify. A real man does not feed on weakness. He builds strength. He values mutual respect, not emotional chaos. So the male drug effect, done correctly, is not about making a woman lose control. It is about making her feel more in control and more alive around you. It is about integrity with edge, warmth with boundaries, desire with discipline. Now, I want you to understand the most powerful trigger in all of this. Tension release cycles. This is what makes an experience addictive in the body. Tension builds attention. Release creates pleasure. A conversation without tension is boring. A conversation without release is exhausting. The man who feels like a drug creates both, naturally. Tension can be created with teasing, with confident disagreement, with slow eye contact, with pauses, with playful accusations, with a calm maybe energy. Release is created with warmth, sincerity, humor, and presence. The key is that the tension is playful and respectful, not cruel or confusing. The release is generous but not needy. This is why your emotional calibration matters more than any technique. If you tease with bitterness, you repel. If you tease with relaxed confidence, you attract. If you withdraw with resentment, you repel. If you withdraw with purpose and calm, you attract. The same behavior can create two completely different outcomes depending on the energy behind it. Now let's talk about social proof, because people always ask about it. Yes, women often notice if other women find you valuable. Humans use social cues under uncertainty, but the mistake is thinking you should advertise it. Talking about other women, trying to trigger jealousy, trying to show off options, that is insecurity. It screams that you need external validation. The real way to leverage social proof is simple. Have a life, have friends, have community, be socially grounded, be respected, not because you want to impress women, but because you are a healthy man. Then the social proof exists quietly. Quiet power is the strongest power. Now, if you are still with me, here is the moment where you can decide if you are going to become the man who feels like a drug, or if you are going to keep repeating the same cycle, chasing, overinvesting, getting ignored, then blaming women or blaming yourself. The difference is not luck. The difference is discipline and frame. Frame is the story your behavior tells. Most men walk into interactions with the frame, "I hope you like me." The addictive man walks in with the frame, "Let's see if we fit." That frame is not arrogance. It is self-respect. It creates equality. And equality creates tension, because she cannot simply place you beneath her. She has to engage. So how do you embody that frame in a way that is real? You build a life that you would still respect if no woman validated you for a month. You build inner certainty. You stop living for external approval. And when you do that, your words change, your pauses change, your eye contact changes, your choices change, because you are no longer bargaining for attention. You are offering an experience. Here is the clean blueprint that will keep you grounded and keep you ethical while making you magnetic. First, build private self-respect through discipline, because confidence is a side effect of keeping promises to yourself. Second, regulate your emotions so you do not react like your worth is on the line. Third, communicate with rhythm. Speak with intention, pause, and let moments land. Fourth, invest selectively. Reward enthusiasm and respect. Do not reward disrespect or inconsistency. Fifth, end interactions on a high point so the memory stays sharp and the mind replays. Sixth, create contrast, warmth and depth, playfulness and calm, presence and purpose. Seventh, use precision, specific observations instead of generic validation. Eighth, respect autonomy. Invite, do not pressure. Lead, do not control. If you apply that, you will notice a shift that feels almost unfair. Women will start leaning in. They will start wondering. They will start reaching out more, not because you begged, because your energy stopped leaking need and started communicating value. And that is the final truth you need to carry like a weapon. The male drug effect is not created by trying to be addictive. It is created by becoming rare. Rare in discipline, rare in self-control, rare in standards, rare in purpose, rare in warmth with boundaries, rare in calm confidence, rare in the ability to make someone feel both safe and alive. So tonight, ask yourself one question that cuts through all excuses. If no woman texted you for the next 30 days, would you still respect your life? If the answer is yes, you are close to becoming the man women crave without you forcing anything. If the answer is no, do not look for more tricks. Look for more self-respect, more direction, more discipline. Because when you become the kind of man you respect, your presence becomes heavier, your attention becomes valuable, your absence becomes felt. And that is when a woman's mind starts doing the work for you, replaying you, craving you, pulling back toward you. Not because you manipulated, because you became the male drug.